Hello, welcome back. It's that time for Hot Takes with Kari and Keelan. I am Kari Rae Davis with Kari Sells the City.
And I'm Keelan Harvey with the Harvey Home Team in Highlands Residential.
So, Keelan, we're at the top of the year, and I know of a lot of people, as do you, that are sitting in their homes with these fantastic rates. And they are wanting to make a move. And it's really difficult sometimes to be in a market where a contingent offer on your home selling may not work for a seller that you're trying to work with. So, I wanted to talk today about some options for buyers out there that if they wanted to purchase a home without having to go contingent on their home selling, what are some loan options that are available to people?
We'll start here. So outside of getting into specific programs, you could get a HELOC on your current home, a home
Okay.
equity line of credit. So you take some money out of your house and then you put that as a down payment on the new home. There's pros and cons to everything. The con to that is you have your current mortgage, you have your HELOC payment, and then you have to qualify for the new home too. So
Okay.
that's a constraint on your debt to income ratio on most programs. So you have to be making a pretty good penny to make that work because the fact of the matter is most people are not you're trying to upgrade, you're not trying to downgrade, right? So likely you're going to try to buy a more expensive home. I know there's a lot of people sitting on a lot of equity in their homes right now, but you have to qualify debt to income ratio. So
Okay.
that is option A. Option B would be you're hearing a lot about bridge loans. And how do I say this kindly? There's a lot of shiny things out there in the world, right? And mortgage companies are famous for putting out their shiny thing, and the devil is always in the detail. Bridge loans are very old. They've been around for a very long time, but it's not just like a magic ticket, right? And a lot of these mortgage people and companies, of course, they're going to advertise and try to get your foot in the door to have conversations. There's downsides to bridge loans as well, and
Okay.
especially in Washington State, which tends to get left out. I'm being political here.
I don't understand, but please explain.
So, starting from the top, debt to income ratios is still an issue with a bridge loan.
And debt
So,
to
what a bridge
the DTI is what you're talking about. Debt to income is DTI.
debt to income ratio, because you still need to qualify with all this stuff. They'll give you a break and often give you like a rent back credit on your house, like you're renting it out, which helps, but you still need to be able to qualify for everything, and it's typically pretty limited. Interest rates can be significantly higher,
Okay.
fees can be higher, there's short repayment periods, you could possibly have double payments on a bridge loan for the time being. What if your property doesn't sell? The other issue is loan to value ratio. So they're going to limit you on your loan to value ratio, not on just your home, but on both homes. So they pretend like your homes are combined,
Okay.
right? And there's a loan to value ratio on that. So you need to have quite a bit of equity in your home to be able to make it work too. So situations boss for every individual, hence why I'm just kind of blanketing this, right?
A broad brush stroke, yes.
Yeah, a broad brush stroke for everybody out there. But like I said, the devil is always in the detail, and unfortunately, a lot of people are not going to qualify for that bridge loan.
Well, if you've got to be able to qualify for two loans at once, it makes it more difficult, obviously.
Three with a HELOC
Yeah.
often, right? We have a magic bullet, and wait. Let me digress. There's an in-between program between what I'm about to say and that bridge loan. So everybody
Okay.
thought they were slick, and they came out with like a buy before you sell program.
Right, because we've talked about that before, so that's what I was thinking of today.
Yeah, which makes sense in some other states, but not in Washington state. The question I would ask is, do you have to pay excise tax twice?
Okay.
Because excise tax, typical market, it's over 1%. And you have to pay it twice because what they're actually doing on a buy before you sell program, they're buying your home, taking it off the book so it doesn't count against you debt to income ratio. But when they do that and they buy their home, that triggers excise tax because the property sold once. And then you get into the new home and then it sells a second time so you can pay everything back, right? So There's two excise tax in there, which now, I mean, it gets just really expensive. I mean,
Well, an excise tax, in case people don't know, when you buy a home, you do not pay tax on like sales tax. Like in Washington State, our sales tax is super high because we don't have an income tax. But when you buy a home, there is not a tax. But when you sell a home, that's when you pay your taxes. So that's when they hit you with that excise tax. And so I see what you're saying, Keelan, is if it's a buy before you sell program, the lender or whomever is the entity is purchasing the home from you and it's transferring ownership, so it would initiate an excise tax in that transfer of the deed. And then also I see what you're saying is when you go and you actually list your home for sale and sell it for, after maybe some updates or whatever, to be able to purchase the home later. Well, actually I guess you've already purchased. Regardless, that hits that excise tax twice.
yeah, which over 525 is like 1.1%, then it goes to 1.28%, depending on the price of your home. I mean, you're going to excess of 2% that you're paying just on the excise tax, not
Right.
let alone everything else. I mean, most of these programs have their own fees too. I would guarantee you it's more than 1%. So now you're over 3% just to be able to make this work, which is
Sure.
not the end of the world,
Well,
really.
I guess it's like, what are you looking at? Are you looking at, is this the perfect house, with interest rates, going where they've been going, and you need to move, but if it's competitive and you don't want to be that person saying, hey, I need to sell my house before I can finish this particular purchase, it might not be a bad idea, but let's hear about your third option.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. I want to talk about that.
Okay,
Absolutely, a place for everybody in every one of these scenarios.
sure.
So hence the broad brushstroke, because that's why you talk to somebody who's honest, transparent, and is going to walk you through the pros and the cons of every single one.
Right,
I do with my customers, I'll give you the A, B, C, and D. Here's the pros, here's the cons, here's what we fit in, here's what we don't fit in. Simplify it as much as possible. Boom, this is our best chance and best strategy based on your goals.
right,
Right?
right,
So, but I'm being devil's advocate and kind of being, pulling the veil off a little bit for
right.
everybody so they understand what's going on. Because it sounds like, unicorns and rainbows when you hear about it on TV. Would you like to buy, you know what I mean? And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You got to make sure
anyway,
you know all the fine details. And that's why it's important to
yes.
work with a professional that's going to explain it to you. So,
When you're talking big money, like this is really important. You worked your butt off to get into a home. Your equity is real money, and we got to protect your equity. I look at, the situation managing debt and managing your best interest financially going forward. And there's a lot of details that you could lose quite a bit of money and get yourself in a pretty big mess without being educated. So, disclaimer, right?
right. Yeah, yeah.
So I can't give away the recipe, but I will tell you the sauce. All right.
Right. The
We have
seasoning. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you a little something, something. So we, as in my incredible company, has a program, and we're always state of the art. And I love that about my company because if it's beneficial to the customers, we're one of the first to bring it to the marketplace. And this is one of those that's an extremely rare incident. So we have a program in which um, it's I don't want to call it a buy before you sell program, but we have a way in which you can get into a new home without a contingent offer. And I have a strategy in which your debt to income ratio, your home or any HELOC you get on your house will not count against you. So you only need to qualify for the new home, and you don't have any of the downsides. They charge
Okay.
a fee for this, and of course, there's always a catch, but
There's a fee. Is that what you said? There is a
a
fee.
fee. There's
Yeah.
a fee for every one of these
I
programs. So,
mean, they're
man,
gonna get you. They want money, basically. Like if somebody's gonna lend you money, they're gonna be getting money from you. So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it is part of doing business.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
and putting their names out there and taking some risk for customers for their best interest to be able to get these customers into a new home. And so there is no downside to this. This excise tax one time, you can qualify there, and then also on all of these, the strategy would be to sell your house and throw the new money at the new loan to get your new mortgage reasonable, right? Because
And
you
do
have
you recast it? Do you like pay it down and recast it? Is that how it works?
read my mind. Yeah, I want to talk
Okay.
about a recast because usually I'm shocked at how many people are surprised about a recast. They have no idea what a recast is.
I mean,
So
if you can do it, you want
yeah,
to. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So if you have a significant amount of money that you want to throw at your mortgage, and I help customers go from one to the next all the time, in every one of these ways of going about this. Once you sell your home, you have a lump sum of cash that you can throw at the new home, and you can tell the mortgage company that you want to recast it. A lot of people are under the assumption that you need to refinance your home with that amount of cash. Refinancing is very expensive. You have to pay a bunch of third-party fees, taxes, insurance, underwriting, processing, escrow, title. You got to pay all those
Appraisal
fees,
potentially, right? All of
appraisal,
that.
the whole 9 yards. We want to avoid that. And a lot of times we don't want to start your mortgage over either. So a way you can avoid that is what's called a recast. So depends on the company. Call it 50 grand or more, a lump sum of cash you can throw at the new loan, and then they will re-amortize the loan. In other words, they'll take the 50 grand, throw it on your principal. Now your mortgage went down, and
Right.
now you have a new payment. It's re-amortized based on the lower principal amount that's been paid down.
Okay.
So everybody has the ability to do this, and you can do it as much as you want.
Are they specific kind of loans? Like, what about, is there a difference between conventional and FHA?
No, I mean you
Okay.
can pretty much do it on any loan. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, I'm sure there's loans out there that have prepayment penalties and funky stuff. I would never provide one of those to our customers. We're
Right.
talking simple, conventional FHA, VA, Fannie, Freddie, Govy loans. The standard thing. Pretty much all of these loans, most of, I can't speak for other people. Most of the time, I would say you're going to be able to recast your loan, which is super important. And part of that strategy I've done with many people, I can think of one of our clients in
Yeah,
particular.
I'm thinking of one
Uh,
too. Yeah.
yeah, that we had this mapped out for him from start to finish. He knew how much he was gonna net out of his house. He knew what
Hmm.
his new payment was gonna be after he recast. He knew everything down to the penny, all the way through the entire strategy from start to finish, and the least, or I should say, the most cost efficient way to do it, the least
Hmm.
expensive way, because there's fees associated with that. And again, your loan to value is personal, your debt to income is personal, and what fits you best is also going to be, personal.
Right.
So,
So, well, it's always so important to talk about options because I don't want people to get stuck in these thoughts that they can't make it work. And it just depends on your situation, but especially if have lived in your house for, 5 to 10 years and your kids are getting older and you need a bigger home and you're like sitting in this limbo of like wanting to make a move, but with interest rates being high, you're kind of afraid to make that change, but sometimes you just have to do it. I've run across people recently that, they want to buy, but they do not want to write a contingent offer. And so I thought it was really important to bring this up again, even though we've talked about it before. I mean, we're going to repeat ourselves on this because we do a lot. We're broken records slightly. We talk about, what we hope is going to happen with interest rates coming down and being able to refinance later. But, for people that are, sitting on equity and they want to purchase a new home, sounds like, there's some good options out there for them that they need to look into potentially.
and I think it's going to happen. This subject's going to become more and more frequent because as rates go down, eventually they will, people, I promise. Once they do, it's going to be, the newest estimate is that around sixes by the end of this year. So
By the end of the year?
yeah, low
Okay.
sixes, high fives. Is
Okay.
hearing from a lot of the major Fannie, Freddie, like all the big guys. So I think when we get around there, you're going to be unlocking a lot of people. And something else to consider, if you're sitting in your house and you got a bunch of debt, you know what I mean? Your interest rate is not 3%, right? If you're sitting, and I've like
That's a
credit
good
card
point.
is in the trillions now. It is the highest credit card debt has ever been. If you're sitting on a boatload of debt, you're not alone. Like majority of America is sitting on debt. Savings is super low. If you can cash out, pay off your debt, and get into a new loan, I've had some surprising incidences where people were shocked that actually they're ending up in a similar, if not better position with a better home because they're out of debt, even with the higher interest rate.
Right. I mean,
So work
that's something to
twice.
consider. And that's what I appreciate about you, Keelan, is that you've got a wealth of knowledge and you're so generous with it. And that's what I've always appreciated about the service that you provide to our clients is that you are so happy to educate people And, having that financial background you had before you got into mortgage really, really is helpful because you've got really gold nuggets of information. And it's just a matter of, being calm and thinking things through and finding the best path forward depending on your situation. So, we've said it before, we'll say it again. If you've got questions or you're curious and you want to learn about what your options are, you're starting to think about buying a new home for the new year, please reach out to Keelan and I. You can reach me at 206-330-6985.
Or you can get me at 206-321-4941.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think that's a good chunk of information for today. So I appreciate you, Keelan.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for that incredible compliment. Appreciate it.
All right, you have a good weekend.
Too.
Okay, bye.